Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Once upon a time, a princess named Snow White lived in a castle with her father, the king, and her stepmother. The queen, her father, had always said to his daughter that she must be fair to everyone at court. Said he, people come her to castle when they have a problem. They needed the ruler to make a fair decisions. Nothing is more important than to be fair. The Queen Snow White's stepmother knew how much this meant to her husband. At the first change, she rushed the magic mirror. Mirror, mirror on the wall, said the queen. Who is the fairest of them all? Snow White is the fairest of them all, said the magic mirror. What? Yet the queen, no one is more fair than me. The queen must have the best of everything. Everyone knows that what could be more fair? Snow White is the fairest of them all, repeated the magic mirror. What do you know? You are a mirror, routed the queen, and she stormed off. Still, the queen was bothered. So bothered was she that the queen decided to be rid of the girl once and for all. I cannot wait another day, she declared. The queen called for her servant, a huntsman. Find a reason to take the Snow White deep into woods, she said, pointing her long finger at the servant. Then kill her. The huntsman was shocked. But she was the queen, and what could he do? The next day he took Snow White into the woods. As he drew his knife to slay her, Snow White turned around. Look, she said, taking something out of her pocket. You have always been good to me. She held in front of him 6 perfect all heads that she had careful sharp. Do you like them? She said. They are for you, Snow White, said the huntsman. I cannot do this. Of course, you can take this, said the Snow White. That's not what I meant, said the servant. He dropped to his knee. How can I say this to you? The queen, your stepmother, ordered me to kill you, he said. But I cannot. She did wait. Snow White called out with alarm. You must run away, said the huntsman. Far into the woods now, and never come back to the castle. Snow White turned and ran into the wood as fast as she could. Deeper and deeper she ran. It was getting dark. The wolves were starting to howl. She trapped, and her skirt was torn. Tall tree branches steamed to reach down to the very ground to grab her. She was scared, blinding and scared, yet she ran on and ran. Then all of a sudden, far away, there was a light. Who was living so deep in the woods? She stepped up closer. It was cottage, yet no sound came from the cottage, only light from the window. Hello, she said, knocking softly on the door. Hello, no answer. The door was a little bit open. She opened it some more and stepped in. Hello, is anywhere home? She looked around. What a mess! She had never seen a messer. Living room? The cottage may be the biggest mess I ever saw, she thought. But it's a roof over my head off tonight. Maybe I clean up around her. I can earn my sleep. As she cleaned, she thought of someone she already missed before. Her father had remarried. She and a prince who lived in the next kingdom were getting known to each other. They would take long walks in the royal garden and tell each other stories and laugh. After the queen had moved into the castle, her stepmother had made a new rule. No more visitors. Now the prince had to slip over the place. Gate is secret. He would call out to her from under the window and they could talk a bite that way. I wasn't as good as the long walks, but I was the best then could manage. Now that she had run away from home, would she ever see him again? After Snow White cleaned up the living room, she went upstairs. On the second floor, there were 7 little beds lined up in a row as if for children. Tired from cleaning, Snow White yawned and lay across all 7 of the beds. Soon she fell fast asleep. In the meantime, the 7 dwarfs were heading home from a long day working in Chevel's mines. When they opened the door, you can imagine their surprise when they saw their cottage all cleaned up. What kind of magic is this? Said one of dwarf. Those names were talk. I wouldn't mind more magic like this, said another of the dwarf with a smile. His name was Dumpy. We'd better check upstairs, said another dwarf, whose name was Grumpy. Something is fishy around her. That's more sure. There, lying across all their beds, was a young lady fast asleep. "Who are you?" said all the dwarfs at once. Snow White bolted a walk. The seven dwarfs could tell she was as surprised as they were. Soon they all relaxed and shared their stories. Snow White learned their names: Bashfully, Tall, Dumpy, Grumpy, Happy, Sleepy, and Sneezy. She told them all about her stepmother, that her stepmother had tried to get the huntsman to kill her, that the huntsman had set her free in the woods, and that she could never go back home again. "Stay here with us," said Bashful. "That's sweet," said Snow White. "But if I were stay here at your home, would have to do something for all of you. Already cleaned up place," said Sneezy. "Keeping the house clean will be easy," said Snow White. "As long we all pitched in, I will let everyone know that part they can do, and I will do my shares too, OP, but there must be something else I can do for us," said Snow White. The seven dwarfs shrugged. "Do you know how to read?" said Dog. "We have these books filled with wonderful tales and wonder love to be able to read them. And so I was agreed that Snow White would teach them how to read." To celebrate their new friendship, Snow White and seven dwarfs sang and danced the away night away. The next morning, before they left for work, the seven dwarfs warned Snow White she must not open the door to anyone. After all, who knows what the evil her stepmother might do? The prince nodded in agreement, and the dwarfs left the house. The princess prepared her first reading lesson. She also prepared a good hot meal for the seven dwarfs. When they returned home that night, and so the day passed, back at the castle, the queen marched up to the mirror. "Mirror, mirror on the wall," she demanded, "who is the fairest of all?" "Snow White is the fairest of them all," said the magic mirror. "That's impossible," scared the queen. "The girl is no longer alive." "Snow White lives," said the magic mirror, and an image was shown on the mirror of Snow White living in the cottage of the seven dwarfs. The queen turned red with rage. She scared. What does she think she is? Snow White will not get away with his cottage of dwarfs. The next afternoon, when the seven dwarfs were away to work, there was a knock on the door. "Who is it?" said the Snow White. She remembered the warning of the seven dwarfs not to open the door to anyone. "It's a poor old lady," came a squeaky voice. "Woman," came a squish voice. "Selling apples." Yet it was Evil Queen, disguised an old woman. "It's raining out here, my dear," said her voice through the door. "Please let me in." "Poor thing," thought Snow White, "having to go door to door selling apples in the rain." And so she opened the door, took a look at his big red apples, said the old woman, who, as you know by now, was really the queen in disguise. She held the red apple close to Snow White's face. "Lovely, my dear, it's it. I would like very much to buy your apple," said Snow White, "but I have no money." "The comb is your hair. We'll make the good trade," said the old woman. "Well, all right then," said Snow White. She took the comb out of her hair and gave it to the old woman, who then gave her the apple. Snow White took a big bite. "Elsie, the fruit is poisonous." At once Snow White fell to the ground in the deep sleep. "Yes!" shouted the queen, pumping the air with her furs. Just then door flew opened. It met the seven dwarfs, home from works. Shouted Indian. They were to find Snow White lying in the floor. "And what must be here?" Stepmother beside her laughing, then chased the evil queen out the door and into the storm up to the very top of a mountain. They chased her. All the sun lightning hit the mountain. The queen fell and she was never seen again. But there was nothing to help poor Snow White. She stayed absolutely still in her deep sleep. The seven dwarfs gently lifted her into a glass coffin day and night. They keep where her on day the prince happened to pass through. Ever since he had learned that Snow White was missing at the castle, he was searching for her far and wide. Now he had finally found her, but in such a state. Prince pulled open the glass coffin. Her face seemed so fresh, even in the deep sleep. He gently took one of Snow White's hand in his own and kissed it. At once, Snow White's eyes opened with love's first kiss. The evil queen's spell with forever gone. Now nothing stood in the way for Snow White and the prince to be together. They returned to the prince's kingdom and lived happily after. Like and subscribe our channel. Thank you.